been some great publicity for the ostrich farm. For Universal Ostrich Farms in Epic, BC, we've had Kaitie Pasitney, the spokeswoman for the farm, on this show several times. I'll have her back on again. But it looks like they finally got some exposure, if you will, and the mainstream media is finally noticing. Yeah, Bobby Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services in the United States, got involved. Dr. Oz got involved. We've got incredible action going on here, finally. And here's a message Kaitie put out on her X post.
Kaitie with the Universal Ostrich. A big shout out to Lulu the Ostrich and the crypto community for developing such an amazing coin. Your community is helping us save these almost 400 ostrich lives that have so many more decades to live. There would be so much change in the world if we had more communities like yours. I just want to thank you from our farm, our family, and every animal that is standing out there and deserves the right to live the decades that they have left to live. Thank you from Canada and on an international level for your garnered support and all of your love and all of your hard work to see these animals protected and live decades more. Good night.
Thank you, Kaitie, for your hard work. And of course, this is help save Lulu. They've actually got some cryptocurrency surrounding this. And Lulu is a 30-year-old ostrich, and she's sort of become the, if you will, the spokesbird for the cause. And what is the cause of it's not just about 399 ostriches, although obviously that's the fundamental issue here. Does the government have the right to walk into your farm and kill your ostriches? No, they don't, especially since these ostriches have been disease-free, virus-free for over 200 days, as Kaitie points out. We're going to watch this CTV report and rebut something the government says here in a minute. But if you look at this message here on this slide here from Viva Fry, he's saying, let's establish a Starlink connection on the farm. There's media, there's people there supporting this farm already. We need live coverage so the government doesn't come in the dead of night, no pun intended, to destroy these birds. This is quite clear. And if anybody out there says, "Oh, I really don't care about ostriches," do you care about private property? Do you care about the right to your property, to your farmland, to the livestock on your property? Is that relevant to you? I think it is. I think that's what I have been saying from day one. I've been covering this with Kaitie Pasitney, and she has been on the show several times. I think this is incredibly important because it is an issue that is larger than a lot of people even realize. This is about your right to private property, and do you still have that? And that, of course, is Lulu, the 30-year-old ostrich. I find this incredible. And I'm so heartened because I've been pushing this story for months now. And it's finally getting some traction beyond those of us on the independent and new media and those of us on social media. It's finally getting traction with the mainstream media. And for some people, that has to happen until it becomes a real issue. I don't agree with that, but that's how some people feel. Let's have a look at this report from CTV.
These ostriches are getting some high-profile help from the man once trusted by millions for easy-to-understand medical advice.
We have an incredible opportunity to advance science, something that just was handed to us. These birds are able to withstand this potentially devastating H5N1 avian flu virus. And why would we throw away this unique wisdom?
Dr. Mehmet Oz previously offered to relocate the birds to his Florida ranch. Another supporter, New York billionaire John Katsimatidis, is calling for common sense to prevail.
You know, the problem is common sense is not all that common. These are ancient, iconic birds. And now, I mean, they deserve to survive.
The ostrich cull was originally ordered last December when birds at the Universal Ostrich Farm in the BC interior tested positive for avian flu. A few dozen of the birds died, close to 400 survived, and the farm has been fighting ever since to save those survivors they insist are safe.
We have had no illness and no deaths on our farms for 223 days. They are thriving. Our herd of ostriches is a living vault of immunity.
Oz, who is now responsible for U.S. Medicare, says the surviving birds are now resistant to avian flu, and their antibodies should be studied for the good of other animals and humans.
We have an opportunity to do something helpful for Canada, for the United States, and the global community in general.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has maintained even though the ostriches appear healthy, they could still spread the virus. And if they're not killed, the virus could mutate and become...
Oh, hold everything. We did some fact checking on this, fact checking on the federal government's claim, the Canadian Food and Inspection Agency's claim. And here's what Grok had to say. And that, I know that Grok is not the final word on everything, but this is an indication that the opinion, the majority of opinion, does not agree with the federal government's contention. Birds that recover from avian influenza, bird flu, are generally not contagious to other animals or humans in the future, provided they have fully cleared the virus. Clearly, they have fully cleared the virus. Here's a concise breakdown. Recovery in viral shed. Once a bird recovers from avian flu, it typically stops shedding the virus. These birds have been virus-free for over 200 days, as Kaitie Pasitney said that. This is coming up to a year in November. So what more is it going to take? And as John Catsimatidis said in that report, common sense is vacant from government thinking these days. Now, before we get to Premier Daniel Smith, we have Kaitie Pasitney has just joined us. Kaitie, good morning.
Good morning, David. How are you?
Oh, just great. It's so thank you for joining me at this ungodly hour out in British Columbia, but it's much appreciated.
Yeah.
So of course, as you notified me the other night, and as has been reported in a lot of the mainstream and independent media, you have been unsuccessful in your appeal to overturn the Canadian Food Inspection Agency's order that you essentially eradicate, kill 399 of your ostriches.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say I'm shocked, because I know governments hang together, but when did you first hear the news, Kaitie?
Wasn't yesterday? Was the day before, Thursday? Yeah. So we got the notification from our lawyer that we were unsuccessful in our federal court of appeals with 3 judges. It came back as a unanimous no. Honestly, it was a little shocking. We thought we would get a split decision in there at least. But I guess then that's what we're looking is for some common sense, which I think what you're talking about right now just doesn't exist. We're really struggling where we're looking at it's a dangerous precedence, because with Canada taking the directives from the World Health Organization and the World Animal Health Organization, that's being chosen over Canadian sovereignty, and we're putting our Canadian citizens at risk by food security, food shortage, and killing off natural immunity.
Well, one thing I do want to say, because I think there are still people out there who are not well acquainted with this story, even though I've done many stories on this.
Yes.
This has got nothing to do with food. You're not selling these ostriches for food. Why the Canadian Food Inspection Agency even got involved in the first place is a mystery to me. But this is what you're doing, and this is the irony about this for me, is that these ostriches are serving a vital interest to science and scientific understanding of immunity. Yes. Which is exactly what your birds developed as a result of whatever happened at your farm last November, December. So I'll get back to that in a minute, because I really want to talk about how absurd this decision is becoming as we go farther and farther away from the outbreak. But you seem resilient, you seem defiant. So what are your next steps now?
So right now we have a bunch of intertwined emotions. With one is a little bit of fear, but a lot of that is more hope. We are resilient. We're resilient like the ostriches at 221 days healthy today. They are thriving, healthy animals with herd immunity. And, they have undeniable proof that nature works. And I think that we really need to focus on that. Our next steps will be another emergency stay order. We've already applied for that. We are waiting to hear on that. talking to our lawyer, because we got a unanimous no at the Federal Court of Appeals stage, we are really limited to our Supreme Court probably acceptance. So that is a little bit fear of that. That's where the fear comes from. But again, we have to rise up. You know, I keep saying on some of my lives, and I really want to say it here again, rise up, Canada. Like, here we are, we have Canadian Food Inspection Agency coming after our seeds, our land, our animals, our rights. We have these non-governing bodies that came in 7 years ago, like the World Health Organization and the World Animal Health Organization, that are giving us directives that are directly impacting our country, our people, and we need to start taking our power back. These organizations are running with excessive freedom, no accountability, and they are impacting all of our industries. So we are asking for the voice of the people to continue to rise up, because we have the momentum, we have international support. There's a lot of people who believe in what we believe in, and that is herd immunity and natural immunity, and antibodies exist. We would not survive and we wouldn't be here if we didn't have antibodies and if we didn't have natural immunity. And we need to remember that as we approach September, where we are at the perfect timing for them to start to orchestrate the next pandemic that they're going to threat, saying that every time anybody has a sniffle or a flu, it's going to be H5N1. And we have to educate ourselves on how H5N1 operates, what effects it has, how we have had thousands of people here at our farm, and we are all okay, and that antibodies exist. We should be carrying around antibody cards, not vaccination cards. We should be able to be proof of antibodies that we all carry. If this was such a great threat, we wouldn't have our beaches open all summer. We wouldn't have had our lakes open all summer. We wouldn't have had our children and our families swimming in the lakes with the migratory ducks and the birds. And here we are with the best opportunity in Canada to create the change that we all deserve. So they came after the truckers, they came after the frontline workers, and now they are attacking our agricultural sector, and we need to rise up.
So what's happening at the farm right now? Have you still got journalists present there? I know Rebel News has been doing an outstanding job covering the story and being on the scene. Have you got other people, supporters, who are camping out? Because personally, I can't see the Food Inspection Agency taking action when there's going to be people present, whether it's day or night. And I really think, you know, we've got to go Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, nonviolent protest here to ensure that the authorities, the government, doesn't get violent, because they are the ones who are threatening violence here and threatening death against these birds. Yeah. So have you got people prepared to be there and to wait it out with you?
We do. There's people flying in from Ontario, driving in from Ottawa. We have people coming in from across Canada right now. We are getting people slowly trickling in back to our field because now we are in an open call order stage, which means Canadian Food Inspection Agency has the authority to come in and inhumanely kill almost 400 lives. So we have an amazing group of really peaceful, kind-hearted individuals that have started to deviate their last camping trips of the summer, you name it, and just say, if we can come here for 2 days, or we can come here for a month, or we can come here for a week, we're going to come and stand with you because we see how big this is for Canadian citizens. And so we want to give a shout out to all those people who continue to support us after this long. It has been a big journey, and we have been extremely blessed with a great group of people that continue to stand by us.
It seems to me that time is on your side. And if there's any way to keep these people from entering your farm and culling 399 birds, I think that's a good thing, because somebody was pointing out to me yesterday, and it really wasn't news to me, but I thought about it and I said, you know, this is absolutely absurd. This outbreak of whatever it was, and we still haven't, we're not 100% sure it was avian flu. But this was 9 months ago. And
That's
you've got 399 healthy birds walking around your farm. So how on earth can the government consider these birds to still be a threat when they have been healthy for this amount of time? I mean,
yeah.
what is the rationale here?
So, David, remember this too. There's a couple really big key facts to point out with what you just said. None of these ostriches that are survivors with herd immunity, not one of these ostriches out here in this field, have been tested. So
Huh.
that's huge. Not one of these animals have been tested. Yes, there was 2 that were PCR tested back in December, but not one of these surviving animals that have survived 9 months have been tested. If we test them, we are still threatened 6 months in jail and or a $200,000 fine per ostrich. So they're not our animals anymore. We've been stripped away from the rights that these are our animals, not the government's animals. This is another point. Canadian Food Inspection Agency has not been present on our farm for more than 5 months. 5 months. Yet we have such a fearful virus that is putting public health and safety at risk. And so we really need to emphasize on that. 5 months. This is really important. This is a test of strength. This is a test of our resources. This is a test of how the Canadian citizens are going to react and how, if we're going to push back. Policy is meant to change. Policy is not law. In our documents that we received from the lawyer, 41-page document, it stated very clearly that they had a Section 48, paragraph 2, that they could go to. It allows treatment effective in eliminating the spread. CFIA says that Section 48 permits more than a binary approach. So we should have been offered anything besides stamping out. When they realize that we are in non-food consumption, non-threat, no flightless animals under quarantine that offer opportunity for animal and human welfare, we should have been given the options of treatment, testing, monitoring, quarantining. And they jumped right to stamping out, which is killing everything. By killing everything on all of our farms, whether you have a dog, a cat, whether you have exotic birds, pigs, chickens, or cows, or ostrich, by eliminating everything, we are losing our biodiversity, our genetic diversity. We are losing natural immunity at an alarming rate since 2022. Stamping out has been in effect for almost 24 years. And we've never looked back at it. But we need to look back at this policy and push back at it to protect our farmers, our health. We need to protect our agricultural sector. We need to protect our nutritional food supply because we are losing it at an alarming rate. If these animals keep dying and the mums, in a very simple, explanation, the mums that have been raised and they're maybe 10 years old or maybe they're 5, but they've been bred from very great healthy genetics, they have immunity. They have immunity to things that their immune system has overcome. They have antibodies. Those antibodies get passed down to their young. Their young would pass those antibodies down to their young. But if we are wiping out everything, we're losing all natural immunity. It is a catastrophic chain of events that's going to lead to failure of humanity. We will not have natural immunity anymore, and we are going to be solely reliant on vaccinations for survival and medications by Big Pharma. And the Universal Ostrich Farms is ground zero for therapeutic development, antibody research, and a better way.
Well, I think that's that's definitely the other pillar for me of the story is natural immunity being destroyed. The other pillar for me, of course, is that the government thinks it can enter anybody's private property and kill their livestock. And it does not have to have any respect for private property. It doesn't even recognize private property. And to me, we've been talking a lot about a narco tyranny lately. And, that's a system where the government is very lax with real criminals who go about robbing and stealing and causing mayhem. But they tend to be very rough on people who don't agree with their narrative, who don't agree with their policies, and they make life absolutely miserable for them. And of course, that's what happened to Tamara Leach and Chris Barber, and they're still going through that. This to me is all about government hubris. This is about the completely artificial pride that the government thinks they were right and they are afraid to admit they're wrong, because it seems to me they could easily compromise here. They could easily come back and say, okay, you have demonstrated after 9 months there's no longer a problem here. Maybe we were a little hasty, and perhaps it's time to think about this, but they're not even prepared to do that.
No.
And I think, go ahead.
David, we're in a precedence war. That's what we're in right now. We're in a precedence war, and this has nothing to do with common sense or doing the right thing anymore. And that is what's scary. We're putting very big hope, and I'm putting out a public plea to Health Minister Heath MacDonald and to Mark Carney, as well as the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, to use their Section 48, Paragraph 2. Please collaborate with us, work with us. This doesn't have to be a bloodshed, and it doesn't have to end in a bad way. We can actually start to protect and start putting, fixing that eroded trust between our farmers and our Canadian citizens and organizations that are meant to protect us, not attack us. So we are putting out a public plea to Health Minister Heath MacDonald and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Do the right thing. Work with us. All the Canadians are watching. The world is watching what we're going to do here at Universal Ostrich Farms. This is a dangerous precedent for farmers, because what it's proving is that property rights, livelihoods, food independence, everything can be taken away with very little recourse. And we deserve the right to live.
Well, I know Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the U.S. took a very, very active interest in this, had encouraged the Canadian government to reverse their decision. I hope he continues to take an active interest in this, but I hope Donald Trump takes an active interest in this, because he seems to have a way of persuading Mark Carney to change his mind about things, as he did yesterday over a phone call. So I'm hoping perhaps Donald Trump can change Mark Carney's mind, because if Mark Carney's mind has changed on this, it's going to happen overnight for you. And in the world we're living in right now, that's a possibility, actually. And I put that out there. If there are any American viewers watching today, and we do have quite a few, encourage your president to get actively involved in this and to call up Mark Carney and give him a dose of common sense. Yeah.
We need to see leaders, not politicians, and we need to start fixing these, creating some repair in these organizations, restoring trust and faith back into Canadians that these organizations work for us, not against us.
Hi, Mickey here with Politico. This question is for Smith and Ford. I was speaking with John Catsimatidis regarding the ostrich situation in BC. He had a meeting yesterday with RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz on this matter. He essentially wants the PM to intervene in the case, and he said that he's spoken to both of you on this issue as well. Will you be applying pressure to the PM on this? And do either of you have any issues or any concerns about the federal government's treatment of farmers, particularly in this case?
Well, I have asked my agriculture minister to look into it to see if we had a similar situation in Alberta, what would we be able to do differently? And one of the things that I think is worth looking at is when avian flu went through that herd, it did kill 20% of them, but it didn't kill 80% of them. So maybe there is something to learn from whether there's an immunity or some kind of vaccine that could be developed as a result of having that flock survive. I think that maybe we have to think about different ways to do animal husbandry and animal safety, and why not try a different approach? So I'm open-minded to see if there's any persuasion on that. I gather that the U.S. government is interested in partnering with BC if they wanted to do that. I'd be supportive of that, because you can see that this case has really taken on a lot of public sentiment behind it. And if we can find a better way than doing mass culls in any situation like this, I think it's probably worth it to try to find a better way to do it. I don't know if you've got a thought.
Yeah, no, I've talked to John many times about these ostriches. I'm an animal lover, full disclosure, and I want to do everything I can to help him. I think he had a plan to bring him down to Florida as well, to a sanctuary down there. So anything John needs, I'm always there to support him. He's a good man. He cares for animals, and he puts his money where his mouth is too when it comes to making sure that he protects all animals.
Most of all, like I said, this is every morning we're going to wake up, we're going to feed the animals, knowing that they're living under threat, but every night we're going to sleep knowing that their resilience has already changed us, and that resilience has changed us on a global scale, and it could change the world if it's given a chance. So please, Canada and the US, rise up, support us here at Universal Ostrich Farms. Canada, rise up. It's our time. We need to just start showing there's a better way, peacefully. Show there's a better way. The people's voice matters, our industries matter, our hardworking Canadians matter, and our future matters. Please, please, please stick with us, and we're not giving up. So it's gonna, in my eyes, I guess the next battle just begun.
Well, Kaitie, thank you for coming on the show today. I'm always here for you.
Thank you.
I support what you're doing 100% because, as I said, this is about more than just one farm. It's about all farms in Canada. It's about a government that doesn't give a damn about private property. Doesn't give a damn about the real science either. And you've eloquently pointed that out. You know this issue so well. And I think it's so impressive to me that you understand exactly what's at stake here. So I applaud your courage, and I applaud your bravery, and I applaud your perseverance, because that's sometimes what it takes to move governments. It's perseverance, it's motivation, and it's strength of the character, and that's what you exhibit so much of, Kaitie. And I just want to take my hat off to you today and say thank you for continuing the fight, because your fight is all of our
fight. It's all of our fight. No. Don't wait before it's too late. They're going to come to your door and use the same policy that we're fighting for you for. They're going to use the same policy. They cherry pick through the policy. They create a one-size-fits-all solution, and it's not right. We need to protect our farmers, our people, our citizens, and please come together in a united way with lots of love, but just loud voices. Come together. Don't back down in a peaceful way. Take to Facebook, go protest in your streets kindly. Farmers, rise up, Canada. This is our time. David, you've always been so amazing. You talk about really important topics that we need to hear every day. And I appreciate you, your platform, and all of your viewers.
Well, thank you, Kaitie. And we'll talk again. And I'm hoping and praying for victory for Universal Ostrich Farm. And thank you again for everything you're doing for freedom in Canada. And we'll talk again. Thanks, Kaitie.
Sounds good. Thanks, David. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Kaitie Pasitney, what a courageous woman. What a brave woman. She's fighting not just for her farm. She's fighting for all farms, but more than that, all Canadians. Thank you for sharing this station with your friends and family. Thank you for hitting that like button, because I tell you, we are fighting back in a way I've never had to before, because I am going to keep this station on the air. I am going to keep fighting for freedom. I'm going to keep fighting for justice and truth, because that's all I have left. And I am damn determined to resist this carny government in any way possible as it encroaches upon our individual freedom. And it will continue to do that, mark my words. And that's why we're here today. I'll be back again tomorrow. Same time, same place. 10 a.m. This has been David KRAYDEN, broadcasting live from our nation's capital in Ottawa. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.
You can't handle the truth.
Resolve to resist